Welcome to Exploring with D-Rob. Let's go. Good morning, welcome back. Up in the Gorge again this morning. Gonna be in the Clifty Wilderness again. This time over on the east side of the Gorge off of 715. I'm parked here in one of the roadside spots. Barely out of sight up through there is Wildcat parking. I'm gonna go on up the road here. There's a gate you may have seen before as you pass by, just past this parking area. Gonna take that old road bed out, and the Wildcat Trail intersects with it. I don't know, maybe 100 yards off the road. The Wildcat Trail from parking follows along the road pretty much, being as it's still winter time. Ain't gonna be no wildflowers or nothing through there, so I'm just gonna skip over a little section of boring trail there and take a little shortcut, I guess. I'm gonna head out and check out Sunset Arch today. Wildcat Trail's gonna take us most of the way there, so let's head that way. As I mentioned, just off the road, come to this gate. Let's walk around the gate. Got a nice wide road bed to walk down. Once we intersect with the Wildcat Trail on down through here, it narrows down a little bit. But a lot of muddy sections in this trail. Hopefully it don't rain today. It is forecasted for later, but hopefully we get the hike in before it gets started and don't have to stomp through mud all day. Here's where the Wildcat Trail intersects with the old road bed, and the road bed becomes Wildcat Trail. This first little section here is wide and well beaten because up here on the right's a little section of private property where a cemetery is. Here's the split for the little cemetery I mentioned. If you look uphill to the right there, you can see the tops of a couple headstones. You'll see a white blaze here on this tree to the left. The trail continues down through here. We'll follow Wildcat Trail down towards Swift Camp Creek. Following out the Wildcat Trail, ain't a whole lot to see, especially this time of the year. No leaves on the trees, no wildflowers or anything popping up just yet. Follows out the ridge pretty much until we get out close to Swift Camp Creek, and it'll kind of cut downhill to the left. Unless I was to spot something interesting, get back with you a little bit closer to the creek. About 3/4 of a mile in from 715. The trail starts to cut downhill to the left a little bit. This is where you'll see your first rhododendron. A little ways down the hill, should reach some cliff line. I'm thinking the easier route to Sunset Arch is to go all the way down to Swift Camp Creek Trail, follow it up a little ways and come in from the east side of the arch. But not knowing what's along this cliff line down here to the right. May try to follow the cliff line out, see if we can find any arches down through there. One downfall to hiking in the Clifty Wilderness, going off trail anyway, always plenty of rhodo. The nice part about this trail would be about June, coming down through here and all these rhodo being in bloom. It'd be a really nice section of trail. After a little switchback in the trail there, gets us below the cliff line. Trail follows the cliff line out through here for a couple minutes. Once the trail leaves the cliff line, probably try to stay with the cliff line, just follow it out and see if we can find anything. Might also mention, if anyone has interest in visiting Timmons Arch, this is the route you take to it as well. Take the Wildcat Trail down to Swift Camp Creek. Right there around the junction of the trails, you can cut across the creek and head uphill to Timmons Arch. Looks like here's where the trail cuts downhill. Cliff line continues straight out through here. Going out there and see if we can find something good. Well, got a little excited to get off trail. This is actually not the level I wanted to be on to go off trail. So I've backtracked out to the trail. Going to follow it down just a tad bit further. Then we'll cut back off trail. Pretty nice little rock shelter about halfway down the hill here. Just off trail. A lot of nice color. Didn't see any openings anywhere, but still a nice rock feature to check out. Well, now that I've seen what this side of the ridgeline looks like, I know why everybody goes on down to Swift Camp Creek and comes back to the other side of Sunset Arch. So, not really feeling the rhodo yet. We may do the same. We'll head on down towards Swift Camp Creek. Come in from the east side. About 1 1/4 mile from 715. Trail comes downhill. Meets with Swift Camp Creek Trail. If you took a left here, this would follow up and bring you out around Angel Windows there, where the Swift Camp Creek Trail comes back up to 715. If you were going to Timmons Arch, you'd also want to take this left here and go barely out of sight over there down to the creek, across the creek and up the ridge over there to Timmons Arch. We are going to make a right here, follow out towards Rock Bridge. Probably only going to go 1/4 to a half mile out through here, where we'll cut off trail, come up to the back side of Sunset Arch. I've never done the entire Swift Camp Creek Trail, so this section here is actually new to me. I've been north of this and south of this, but never on this little section here. One thing I do like about the Swift Camp Creek Trail, besides it being a low traffic trail, is all this nice greenery and mosses and stuff on the logs. Nothing's really beat down like a lot of other areas. A big fan of moss anyway. I recognize this rock shelter here from a lot of YouTube videos. Probably take a substantial rain, but I'd say at some point in time it makes for a nice little waterfall. Just around the corner from the other rock shelter that you're walking under, got another similar looking rock shelter. Just out of sight, up there past the rhododendrons, the cliff line, so getting fairly close to where we're going to be cutting off trail at now. Get a good look down on the nice little stretch of Swift Camp Creek here. Finally hitting some of the muddy sections of the trail. A few drainages crossing the trail. Slows you down a little bit, but part of hiking the Clifty Wilderness. Pretty neat little rock feature here right along the trail. Got a lot of nice conglomerate in it. At some point in time, this may eventually develop into an arch, as it's really thin right there. Pretty cool little feature. As we follow along the Swift Camp Creek Trail, there's a few places down through here where you get a nice look down at the creek. You got that nice blue-green wintertime color. Alright, so I was wrong in saying quarter to a half mile from the Wildcat Trail Junction. Should have added those together. It's actually 3/4 of a mile to where I'm going here. I guess the ups and downs of the trail there made it be a little longer than I had anticipated. Hadn't been on this section of trail, so didn't really know what to expect. Besides being kind of rough since it's the Swift Camp Creek Trail. Anyway, come just past the arch, which should be right up in this general area. Up to the little finger ridge it comes out, meets the trail here. Going to cut up to the cliff line. Should be just on the other side of that rhodo up there. Then we'll work our way around to the arch. Not sure if I'm following somebody else's track up through here, an animal track, but the way the leaves are ruffled up, something's been up through here. It doesn't take long to get over to the cliff line here. Looks like a fairly easy walk out through here along the cliff line. I noticed as I come around the point at the end of this ridge, looked like somebody had been off trail in a couple spots, so if it looks like that's the easier route back down out of here, we may do that instead of backtracking today. Well, I was going to photograph the Columbine Rock Shelter tube arch. Looks like somebody set up camp here, been visiting a lot. A little stove. Looks like probably a jacket, some different sizes of rope. Several miscellaneous items. Looks like they also enjoy Fireball and Elijah Craig. Got a little side track looking around the cliff lines. Found this really nice recess in the cliff line here. Some nice banding on the inside. Kind of looks like the fronts fell out. Could have been an arch at some point in time, but split right there. Pretty cool little spot though. I will say route finding up to Sunset Arch definitely ain't the easiest. After I found the little camp on the other side of the cliff line, I wound up following the trail that they had made all the way out to the point where one of those cutoffs I'd seen earlier was. So instead of backtracking that side of the ridge to get up to the arch here, I decided to come on around the north side, work my way around to the end of the cliff line finally, where I could get up to the upper cliff line. That's where you'll find the arch at. Here's a look at Sunset Arch. Well, now that I've made it up here to the arch, I realized why it's easy to bypass not paying much attention on the other side. If you look down through here behind me, came along that lower cliff line down there. It's probably about a 30-foot difference there in where I'm at and that lower cliff line. It's a sheer cliff on this end, so would have had to have worked my way on around through here, followed up this cliff line from this side, so no wonder it's easy to bypass that route up this side. Made it back down to the Swift Camp Creek Trail. Had intentions of doing a little more off-trailing, explore some cliff line that I've not seen before, besides what I did already up there. As I was working my way back down the hill, foot started cramping. Like to have not made it back down the hill. It's kind of eased off now. Foot's feeling a little sore where it did that though, so instead of doing more off-trailing, I think we're going to cut around here to the Wildcat Trail and head back on up out of here. Working our way back up to the trail junction here. Back up to the Wildcat Trail. Got about somewhere between a quarter and a half mile up here. Get to the top of the hill. After that, should be a fairly easy hike back out of here. Let's go ahead and get started. Coming out of the rhodo, back up on the ridge line. After the hike out there and all the bushwhacking and stuff, that hill back up to the top of the ridge definitely shows no mercy. Almost back out to the road. Here behind me is where Wildcat Trail meets this old road bed. Going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. Got to see Sunset Arch today. Was going to do a little more off-trailing, but unfortunately my foot started cramping up on me. So I decided to go ahead and head back out. That last little hill coming up through here, right before the cemetery, it tried to cramp up again. So I'm glad I went ahead and aborted the off-trailing. But if you decide to come see this arch, this is definitely something for a seasoned hiker, somebody that's an avid off-trailer. It's pretty rugged terrain. Swift Camp Creek Trail in general is pretty rough. That's where a lot of people tend to get lost, it seems like. And Wolfe County Search and Rescue, I'd say a large percentage of their rescues come from the Swift Camp Creek Trail. So if you head out this way, be sure you know what you're doing. Be sure you got a GPS device. And be knowledgeable about off-trail hiking. But anyway, if you would, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Helps out the channel. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. Hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching.